Well, it happened. You thought you could trust them, but now everything's different. Maybe you've experienced this before, maybe it just happened, and now you've got to deal with somebody who violated your or the team's trust. And I should pause here and say that when I'm talking about violating trust, I'm not talking about fraud, embezzlement, stuff where you should call HR. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant. But if it's the small scale stuff, somebody lies about how much progress they've made on a project, or they dropped the ball on something everybody was expecting from them, or they had a huge outburst in front of the whole team and now everyone's looking at you saying, how are we going to respond to this? Well, there I can help you. Look, it stings. And how you respond in the moment and afterwards, that's going to determine whether or not you escalate the damage or begin the healing process. And trust me when I say this, you want to begin the healing process. If you're new to the channel, my name is David Burkus, and I study high-performing teams and work with leaders to build their best team ever. If that sounds like something you need as a leader, then subscribe to the channel down below, or better yet, join our email newsletter community, link in the video description below. All right, let's get into it. First things first, name what you're feeling. Are you frustrated, disappointed? Are you angry? Acknowledge the emotions you're experiencing, not publicly, not dramatically, just honestly. Why does this matter? Because you can't lead through it unless you process it. You can't heal what you won't acknowledge is hurting. And if you bury that frustration, it will show up later, usually in unproductive ways, like micromanaging that person, like avoiding them entirely, or like little flashes of frustration in front of the rest of the team during a meeting. You're allowed to be upset, you just can't stay there. Before you jump to conclusions, or worse, jump into corrective action, you've got to define what happened, label the trust that was violated, because you can't repair what you can't define. Was this a competence issue? Did the person drop the ball on a project? Did they overpromise because they overestimated what they could do, and then when they delivered it, it was underwhelming? That's frustrating, I get it, but it's not malicious. It really just hints at a development gap. Was it an integrity issue? Did they say they were gonna do one thing and then do the exact opposite, or not do it and hope no one would notice? That's a totally different issue. That's an integrity issue. That's a values conversation, not a training conversation. There's also a gray area we often miss: transparency. Maybe they didn't do anything wrong per se, they just didn't share enough. They hid some details, didn't share the full context. That's not really an integrity thing, that's a breakdown of safety. They don't feel like they can be honest with you or the team. How you respond has to match the violation. If it's a competency issue and you're treating it like an integrity issue, you're gonna make it worse and you're gonna face resistance because that person isn't gonna make the change you think they should make. If it's an integrity issue and you're treating it like a skills gap, well, the rest of the team is gonna notice that and they're gonna start thinking they can get away with more, or they're gonna be mad at you for not holding that team member accountable. And that's gonna erode trust even more. This one's important. You get to decide whether you want to rebuild trust or not. Not every damaged working relationship has to be repaired, and you get to make the call on whether or not you do it. You get to ask yourself, can I realistically see myself trusting this person if their behavior changes over time? Now, I sincerely hope the answer to that question is yes. Otherwise, I have no idea why you're still watching this video. Forgiveness is not the same thing as total reconciliation. You can forgive someone and still choose to restructure their responsibilities. You can move forward even though it looks different than before. Just remember, that trust loop that we're trying to get turning again, it's gonna move at different speeds with different people, and that's okay. If you've made the decision to move forward, now is the time to reset the rules of engagement, to reset the loop. Be transparent. Let them know what's changed. Don't assume they'll figure it out. Don't assume they'll read between the lines. Spell it out. Be clear, be direct, and be brave enough to say, this is what I need from you to move forward in a way that works for me. Maybe that means more frequent check-ins, greater accountability. Maybe that means putting decisions in writing. And maybe that just means more space. some time to breathe and to heal as trust rebuilds. Whatever it is, say it out loud. Because here's the thing, clarity is kindness. Setting expectations isn't being difficult, it's being responsible. And if they're serious about moving forward and rebuilding the trust, then they will welcome the structure. And if they're not, then now's a good time to invite them to trust a different leader at a different team. This isn't about punishment, it's about partnership. This is the long game. You're watching for patterns, not promises. Don't get distracted by a well-worded apology or an "I'll do better next time" speech. Look for behavior, look for consistency. And look, when you see positive signals, acknowledge that, give them some praise. That can be fuel for rebuilding trust, and they need to know they're on the right path. Trust doesn't live in a single moment. And despite what you may have heard, it's not destroyed in one either. It's built slowly and over time. And when it needs to be rebuilt, it needs to be rebuilt the same way. One step, one behavior, one decision at a time. And if you want to know more about what each step looks like, then check out this deep dive video on the trust loop and how it operates on teams. Because without trust, your team will never get off the ground.